Wait, is there no video, no intro video? We're just live? Oh my
We're just live.
gosh. We're
Doing it
just
live.
live. All right. Well, here we go. We're crashing and burning into this recording here. No wait time or anything. Well, welcome everyone. Stumbling in. You're gonna listen to this later too on Patreon or whatever. But yeah, my name's Garrett. This is Matt. Say hi, Matt.
What's up, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are the PC experts. I would say we're top-notch experts here at the Carpool Gaming.
Definitely.
Would you agree? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I think we know more about technology and computers, like pretty much more than anybody. Like I definitely
Yes.
know things.
You know things. That's good.
There are things that I know.
There's things that you know. Nice. Sounds good. Well, a few weeks back here, or about a month ago or so, I reached out to Matt. It's like, Matt, we need to do this, I think, just once, because we both love our Steam Decks. We gotta please some PC folks out there. I know they've been itching for some PC show for some time on this channel. So why not? We'll give you a one special episode of this. And we're just gonna be talking about, all about PC. And then later on, we're gonna really get into PC handhelds and Steam Deck type of stuff. Just what do we do like, what do we do not like, and what our thoughts overall, pretty much. But before I start, oh wait, sorry, hold on. Well, let me get to my notes here real quick. All right, you see, I'm crashing and burning right now. All right, yeah. So before we start the show here, well, thank you for supporting us. You're either live here or you're listening on Patreon. So thank you so much for doing that. And then, you can subscribe to your podcast feed of choice. You can subscribe to YouTube right here, youtube.com/carpool gaming. And you can also get early access to the show, which you're doing right now, and exclusive content over at patreon.com/carpool gaming.
World exclusive.
Yeah, world exclusive.
World exclusive.
Yeah, only on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right. And we also have a website, carpoolgaming.com. And that's my startup show notes for you. How do you like that, Matt?
Made it rain, dude. All around the and just for Ryan's sake, around the globe. It's not the right time.
Around the globe.
Around
the
that's
globe. It. That's what he does, right?
He does that.
And
it's
asks
like
the weather.
Memory. Yeah, of course.
He always does that, doesn't he?
He does every time. It's like burned into my memory from doing the PlayStation Drive with him. I just every time I'm like watching him. Like, is he gonna do it now? Is he gonna do it now? Is he gonna do it now? I'm ready. I'm prepped every time. On the globe.
He's copied the gesture just so much. And then I always do the ring that notification, down here. And I always like, oh yeah, okay, let's just point to the button down below.
So my partner loves going to thrift stores, and for the last few months, every time that we've gone to one, you better believe I'm seeing if they have a copy of James Cameron's Dark Angel Season 1 on DVD.
Of course.
So I can copy the bit just because I love his bit so much. I want to throw him off, and when he's not expecting it, to pull the DVD up in front of him.
Oh, that would be great.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's the lasting impression this man has is monumental.
Yes, that's true. That's true. We all know he's really into his James Cameron's Dark Angel video game that he played and finished, and now he's on to, I don't know, 24. I think he played that game. I don't know what, and then he just plays some Sega Saturn game. I don't even know what kind of shenanigans he gets, and then probably Magic the Gathering. Anyways, enough of making fun of Ryan here. John 32 asks in the chat, "What's the weather out in San Francisco?" Let me tell you, Matt. Every day, all day, every day is sweater weather.
Sweater weather all the time. I was in San Francisco briefly for work, and I gotta tell you, I was going down there. I was like, I don't need a jacket. I'm Canadian. This is gonna be easy. It was a tad brisk.
It was a tad brisk. Yeah, every time it's always a tad brisk. Like it goes past like 5 or 6 p.m. and it's like, oh, need a jacket. Need a light jacket always. So
at least a little something.
Yeah, even in the middle of August, let me tell you, the rest of the country's bleeding in the heat, 100-degree, Fahrenheit weather. It's like 40 degrees Celsius, and
thank you.
Over here, so it's there you go. I had to convert some for you, but over here it's pretty nice, chill, 18 degrees Celsius. 18 to 20 degrees. So
that's a nice breeze. That's a nice temperature.
Yeah, there you go. There's your weather, your daily weather, or your only one for this show. But yeah, so let's get into it, Matt. But this is kind of the first thing I want to ask you and me, before we talk about all about PC. It's just really our history
Mhm.
with PC gaming. And then like how do we get into it throughout our lives, and like how does it touch, throughout, just beginning to end. And I'll go first so you can think about, some of your thoughts too. But really, PC gaming started for me really young. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old when I started PC gaming. It was actually from my dad. My dad was really into real time strategy games like Red Alert 2 and
Nice.
Ages of Empire 2, and those type of games. And so we had a computer at home and that can run these games, thankfully. And yeah, I just played through those. And then I got good enough where I was playing with my dad. And then my uncle, his brother was into it too. So we played a lot of gaming sessions that time. And then also, I got my couple of my good friends hooked up on some real time strategy games. The one PC game I played probably the most is probably top 5, top 10 game of all time for me is Rise of Nations. I don't know if you ever heard of that one. It
I
is a real time strategy game. Think of Civilization,
Mhm.
but real time. So it goes
Okay.
from ancient to modern times, but
I
it's
have
like,
heard of this. Yes.
yes,
You're scratching an itch that I haven't used in a while, but yes. Okay, I'm
yeah,
with you.
yeah. So it was developed by I think Big Huge Games or something like that. They made a lot of real time strategy games, and this was one of them. Oh my gosh, it was so good, and I was so sad that they did not make a sequel, and they kind of just, you know, at the time it kind of went on to decline PC gaming, and they come back up with Steam, I think. But yeah, that's kind of the start with PC gaming for me, and then I really didn't get back into it till probably 20, I would say 16, 17,
Mhm.
when I got my first PC. And then ever since then, with a Steam Deck, and now I just have a laptop. Yeah, and definitely on the PC gaming route on a lot of games that are not the big AAA games that I would probably play on my console,
Mhm.
but definitely the rest of the games that I probably own, I'll play on
I'm with you,
PC.
dude. I'm with
Yeah.
you
All right.
entirely. Like
Cool.
for me, like I had like a similar trajectory where I started off with PC like real young. I remember like the first memories I have of gaming are like with the old school, black the Game Boy Pocket and the
Right.
PlayStation. But then as soon as like I started playing with the PlayStation, and then I was like I saw my uncle playing on his PC, and I
Hmm.
was like, you can do that there? And it was like, early memories of the oh my god, I'm blanking on
Yeah.
like oh my god, what is that called now? The ball drops the paddles. My mind just went blank.
Oh, you mean
The pinball. Jesus
pinball.
Christ. Oh my god,
You were making me forget. I was like, "Wait,
oh
I know
my
which one you're talking."
it just left the building, but the pinball game, and then
The
like
pinball game, yes.
I remember being like, okay, you can, and like again, to each their own, but at the time, being from a family that had just immigrated, and like I don't know, I was a kid,
Okay.
I was dumb. I was like, I can find games online. Way too many viruses that I download on on my parents' computer.
Oh,
Far
no.
too many. But I did successfully download Driver. Okay. And
Okay.
when my dad saw me playing that, it was game over. He fell in. And it was just basically us
Oh.
taking turns playing Driver, like flying through these streets, the slow motion shots, trying to make the biggest jumps possible. And then obviously, like I stumbled down the thing. And then again, I can't remember exactly what it was between A to B, but we had to get a new computer. Whether it
Mhm.
was because I riddled the other one with viruses or not, who's to say? But we needed a
Probably.
new one. And my parents, I was like, listen, we have to have a good graphics card so things look good. Right. I was
Mhm.
trying to make the play here. I was trying to make the con, and it worked. And the first thing I did, Unreal Tournament. I played the Ever Living
Nice.
Daylights out of Unreal Tournament, Unreal Tournament 2000. Then it was just like a sweet, like I could not stop playing Counter Strike. I was all over it back in the day with
Oh,
friends in like
wow.
the seventh and eighth grade,
Mhm.
all over Counter Strike. I always wanted to get into World of Warcraft, but I couldn't get my parents to pay for the subscription. So that broke my heart, especially when I went over to my cousin's house and that's all he'd play. And I'd be like, look at that
Mhm.
thing, he can fly. City of Heroes and stuff. So it's like PC gaming has kind of always been alongside me, even though I've always been a console gamer first, only
Mhm.
because similarly to you, it wasn't until I was able to actually buy my first like gaming laptop that again
You're right.
it was fine. back in, I want to say 2017, 2018.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and then I got my desktop when I came back from Korea a couple of years ago. So it's
Cool.
like it's one of those things where it's like I think it's always been there for me, but it wasn't probably until really the Steam Deck that I got like heavily back in, just because of how
Right.
much it like unlocked for me. Like my Steam library has grown much more because of that thing.
Yeah, yeah. I like the accessibility of the Steam Deck for sure, and we'll touch on that later. But I want to go back to what you've been saying that yeah, PC kind of touched my life too. I mean, now I remember I was obsessed with some MMOs on
Hmm.
online too. I played Maple Story,
Yes, me too.
the
Me
yeah,
too.
okay, the Korean
Neopets.
MMO, yeah,
Yeah.
Neopets.
Yeah.
That was another one. And then also RuneScape was a big one for me
RuneScape.
too.
Oh my god, dude. I
Yeah.
was obsessed with RuneScape.
Mhm.
Obsessed. And did you ever play I think it was just called Gun
I
or
think I
Guns?
heard of it.
It
Yeah,
was like you'd like it was a third person and you'd be like running around these like small, so it was PvP, small
yeah.
environments, and but you could like jump off the walls and wall run, and you could like if you hit
Oh,
certain corners, you could
man.
like wall run infinitely up, and you could totally break that game apart. But
Oh,
yes,
wow.
dude, I was heavily into Maple Story and RuneScape as well. RuneScape was like a time. It was a different
It
world.
it was such a time, and then I remember convincing my parents to, give me a subscription for that one specifically. Man, and it was funny with RuneScape, I was so obsessed in the MMO nature of it, and then just, like, the grinding of it, and I was like, "I
Hmm.
wanna be like a huge master smither," and so I would just, like, smith like crazy and then chop all the trees, and it's just like, man, I would be glued to that laptop. I would have a
Hmm.
laptop just run, and that was a good thing about RuneScape and MapleStory. Like you didn't need much to really
No,
play those games. It was just
especially because
like you.
RuneScape was browser based, right? So I mean, you could literally
Yes, it
just
was
play it through there, right? Yeah, I remember
right,
that.
and it's still going on. It is on the Steam launcher,
Is it
so
actually?
yeah, it's
I
on
did
this.
not know that.
You can look it up. It's like free to play still, but you can still log in and go from there. So
I think
cool, man.
one of the games that I have like a huge love for that always catches people off guard is Worms, and that's because I used to play so
Oh
much
yeah.
Worms on PC as a kid, along with what was it called? Was it Gunbound? The one where you had like the tanks, and it was like PvP, and you can like trick out your tank, and it was just basically like almost like
Mm.
Worms like gameplay. So many
Oh,
like
I didn't
little
play
things
that.
you're just unlocking in my brain as I go back down memory lane right now.
The what was it? The underground playground games or something like
Yes,
that. The
yes,
browser
yes,
games.
yes. Yes,
And the Kitty Cannon. That was
dude. Yes, yes. There's what was it? It's like slime volleyball. There was one where it's
slime
like
volleyball. Yeah.
classic.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think I remember in my junior senior of high school, that's when Minecraft was in the beta version. And
Mm.
then someone from their home actually had a USB stick of just the build of Minecraft. He put it into
As it
all
was.
the engineering school computers. And so when we were done with our projects or whatever, we would literally just play Minecraft together.
Nice.
That
That
was
is amazing.
before the schools kind of caught up to technology and
Yeah,
everything. It's like
yeah,
it was all land based, and it was just like this is excellent. We could just play all together. So, man, dude, yeah, you're unlocking things in my brain too with PC gaming.
seriously.
It's super cool. All right, so I guess yeah, the question now is like, what do we have?
Mhm,
And so what I have is actually it's not like the latest and greatest. I have an Asus Zephyr laptop, gaming laptop. I got it in late I would say 2021. I think
mhm,
it's 2021. Yeah, yeah. Because it does have a 3060 mobile GPU
mhm,
and an AMD Ryzen processor, the 5000 series, AMD Ryzen 9.
mhm.
And let me tell you, dude, I'm not complaining with this laptop. It's pretty good. It has just a 1080p screen, but it does have a high refresh rate, 144
Mhm.
hertz refresh rate. If I want to like take it on the go with this screen, it plays any game I throw at it. Basically, I think the only game I struggle with is Last of Us Part Two, or
Fair.
in Part One. Part One,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the remastered version. Yeah. Other than that, everything else is like, okay, I can play easily 60, 120 frames. on my screen. I also have a 4K monitor right here
Mhm.
for my console, but also for my laptop. It's a max of 60 frames, so it's not like a high fidelity 4K monitor, but it does the job.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much where I go. And what about you, sir? What's your PC gaming setup so far?
So right now, I bought this similarly. I want to say I think it was like 2021 because it was soon after I came
Yeah.
back from my last stint in Korea. And similarly, like I was looking for something that I could edit on, especially doing a lot of the content stuff while also having the capability for gaming. So
Hmm.
I have a Dell desktop that I caught on
Cool.
sale with i7 on the processor side. On the graphics card, it is a GTX 1660 Ti, so it's all right.
Okay.
It's solid. It gets the job done.
Hmm.
Similarly, like literally just this weekend, back on like Amazon Prime Day, I bought a because I have an SSD and a hard drive in my computer. The SSD had it was only like 256 gigabytes. It
Ooh,
was like there was no
super low.
space. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, it was atrocious. It was one of those things where I was like, I'll get a terabyte hard drive and just keep like next to nothing on the solid state just to have it run quickly. Mistake. So I
Yes,
picked
that's a
up a
mistake.
massive mistake. So I picked up a 2 terabyte SSD that I slapped in over
Nice.
the weekend. Well, not me, but I paid a guy to do it. So I have that in there now. And similarly, like everything that I've played on this thing, I've really, really enjoyed. I just for my birthday back in February, I got like a 34-inch, wide screen monitor.
Oh,
So
nice.
it struggled a bit with playing like Spider-Man Remastered, for example, on higher settings in ultra wide because I was like, let me try this thing, but it
Oh,
ran
yeah.
fine on lower settings. But like, yeah, so it does the job for me. I think kind of like my big dream is in the next few years just to
Hmm.
really build something out that's like awesome that's going to last me in
Right.
perpetuity. Because when I was buying this one, I was like, you know, I just got back from living abroad again. There's so much, life is expensive. I just need to buy something that will, do the job for now, and then in a few years I'll really trick out. And I think, and then I ended up spending a bunch of money on the Steam Deck instead. Um,
Nice.
but
Nice.
yeah, my
That's
like I
good.
again, it does the job. I'm happy with what it is right now. Like I
Can
was
I
playing
ask what the price was for the PC? Because I'm very curious.
I got it on sale for like at
Yeah,
the time it was like 1600 Canadian.
that's pretty good. I
Right.
I would say that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
A couple years ago with
exactly.
those specs. Yeah, for
Yeah, so
sure.
like that's why I was like, it's the graphics card isn't the best. It's good enough. The memory is good.
Mhm.
Everything was good enough. I was like, I just want something that'll future proof me for the next 5-ish years that I'll be able to. I know I'm not going to be playing everything on ultra high, but
Yeah,
I was playing Trails into Reverie the other day, flawless, like no issues
right.
whatsoever. So can't complain.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about, PC. It's so modular and there's so many different layers and variations. And I would say like most of the games that we would play on PC, you really don't need that cutting edge 40 series GPU,
Hmm.
ultra high settings kicking into gear, which is nice. Cause yeah, I like literally just need a potato to like run
Yeah.
Atelier Mary remake or something like
Yeah,
that.
I just need to play Trails in the Sky. Like that's like I just
Yep.
need something strong enough to do that right now.
Right, right. Yeah, future plans for PC for me, I definitely am wanting to build a PC. Um the question is timing. Right now, it's just that my laptop is doing the work pretty
Hmm.
well. I'm satisfied with it. I like it. There's no need to, build out a PC that would spend so much money for something just a little bit more gain.
Hmm.
I want to like, give it like another generation or so and then like make sure the monitor is pretty nice, like a 4K and then higher refresh rate. So probably
Would
like a
you
few.
stay in the laptop zone, or would you think you'd go desktop for the next one?
I would definitely go desktop. I think the
Yeah.
only reason I went laptop was that I was moving at the time and I wanted to be pretty agile. And then also, I didn't know if this situation I'm in was permanent or not. So I
Right.
really wanted something to like, okay, I can just bring it in my backpack and just move. And it's been, dude, this laptop, I think is probably the best decision I made because my
Nice.
old PC I did build it in 2017, and so I had a 1080 Ti in there,
Mhm.
and like an i7 700K, a pretty good SSD in there, so on and so forth. And then I sold that. Yeah, that was back in Pittsburgh, so I was like,
Okay.
outside the country. And I was like, okay, I could sell it and then just buy this laptop, and it was actually pretty much an equal trade. I sold the PC for the same amount I bought this laptop. It was a pretty
Nice.
good. trade over there. So yeah, cool, man. Well, PCs pretty great. I think I wanted enough to like really satisfy with myself with the laptop. I know the other carpool gaming folks are like that too. They're usually like, hey, let's have a PC just to have a PC. We know some folks out there in the audience that are really into the PC building and the PC specs and
Mhm.
really get into the nitty gritty. And I applaud you guys for that because I couldn't. I can't even come close to that. Let me tell you, with the technicalities there.
It's one of those things where it's just like I want to learn more. I want to
Yeah.
invest in it more. It's just like who has the time? Yeah, especially with the like the nonstop clip of games that we have,
Mhm.
nowadays, where it's just like I'd love to know every nut and bolt on how all this works. So like
Mhm.
I applaud all of you who do know this stuff because I just look at you and
Yes.
I'm just like I'm already the tech guy for my entire family, and I feel like like I know nothing compared to some of the folks in the community. So hats off to you.
Yeah, yeah. When I was building a PC, it was an experience. I had to have someone else with me next to me to make sure I was, putting the CPU in right. And then the GPU at the time, the 1080 Ti, it was a chunker, before the 40 series is now like a huge brick. But yeah, at the time I was like, am I going to crack this? And when I would just like put it into the motherboard, it's just these little slits, dude, like
Mhm.
no joke. And I'm just like, do I need like a support bar for this?
Like
It was kind of
how much of this do I have to rewire? What am I doing here?
yeah, exactly. Oh man, don't even get me into the wire situation. Actually, let's get into the wire situation. How is your wire organization skills, Matt?
God awful. God awful. My partner wishes it was much better. Literally, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like I just I was on break with Carpool about a month ago. I took my bit of a time off as I was transitioning jobs and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna completely redo my setup. I was like, I'm gonna nail the cable management. This is gonna be it's a
Mhm.
disaster. It's, there are cables everywhere. Wires are a flying. I wish I cared more because this is like one of those things where it's like I wish this looked good. Like
Mhm.
if I just don't look, under the table, I'm okay. But no, when it comes to cable management, no, 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 no.
I was literally jamming like when I was making my computer in the case, I was jamming the wires into like the little, like hidden slot that you jam all the wires in. I'm like, just go in. And then like
Dude,
I broke some parts because
it's just cat rules. If it fits, it sits. Like that's it. Like
exactly.
I just want it in there. I don't need it to look pristine. I wanted
Mhm.
to, but I couldn't be bothered.
I initially tried to make my wires pretty clean, like when I
Mhm.
moved in here. But now, yeah, I'm on the same level. It's such a mess. But at the same time, I have to switch between my current laptop and my work laptop.
Same.
And I have a docking station. So I gotta be pretty like, easy with that transitionally because I got a plug here and then I got my Xbox to the side. I got two monitors. I just need it's like, okay, let me unplug, let me plug in. And so the wires just kind of just play itself out, just all around. So I get to the point I'm like, it'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out next time. I
Exactly.
really, yeah, yeah, exactly. I really do imagine me having one of those, those stand up, sit down, adjustable desks that has the wires in the back here. That's completely just self sustaining,
Mhm.
and I would have like a desktop and a laptop kind of separately, but that's future Garrett's problem.
Future
It's
math's problem. Exactly. I'm the same way.
exactly. Well, cool, man. All right, you know what? Let's get into it. PC handhelds. I think this is what we really enticed us most to come together. We
Mhm.
both have Steam Decks,
Mhm.
and I first off, what made you get into buying a Steam Deck?
Mhm.
Why did you go through? What got you into the hype map of the Steam Deck itself?
I think a big part of it for me was again like there's so many games that hit PC first or are PC only or are just better on PC. And a
Mhm.
big part of it for me was just the portability factor of it. Especially it's like, when I set up my office because I work from home and stuff as well, I like to have it in a separate space. And for me to be here, like, for the 8 to 10 hours that I work, and then to be able to,
Mhm.
and then having to play here again after, it's just like it's a lot of time in the same place. So
Mhm.
even just being able to, like, while my partner is watching something on TV, I can be beside her, playing Baldur's Gate 3. So for me,
Mhm.
the massive thing was the portability, and even just like the specs in it being, this is going to be good enough for the next little while. Again,
Yeah.
it's going, just the fact that I can play these things with me and have it with me on the go is massive. So I think the biggest things for me were just the portability was huge, because I've always wanted something like this. I love my Switch. Like, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but like the freedom, and like it's the same way that like I prefer my Android phone over an iPhone, is just because the freedom that comes along with it. There's so much more I could do. There's so much more I could spec out.
Mhm.
And then I spent like the first while, and it's one of my favorite things to do on the Steam Deck, is just like, can I make this thing work? Can
Yeah.
I get that emulator working? It's just tweaking it and playing with it and messing with the settings is just like, it's enjoyable for me, weirdly enough.
Mhm.
So I think the major things were just the portability, and just, again, the promise that I know Valve is going to support this thing. I know that, like, for the next few years, it's going to work, and it's going to work well.
Mhm.
And I think that's what kind of brought me over.
Nice, nice. Yeah. I totally agree with you. Was the portability factor. Steam did a great job going in first
Hmm.
in this PC handheld route. They announced what was it, the summer of 2020? I would have to say, or 2021. I think it was
I think
2021.
it was 20.
It was 21.
I think it was 21, because I remember pre-ordering it when I was back in
Mm.
Canada, and I got back in May of 2021.
Oh, okay, okay. Sounds good.
I'm gonna fact
Um,
check myself.
yeah, yeah, fact check yourself. It was like, I remember it was during the summer. It was like August or whatever, and then like it's just out of nowhere. Valve was like, "Hey, we got this handheld, and you're able to waitlist in it." And I think what really blew me out the most was the price of this handheld was very competitive, and it's still very competitive. It is for bang for your buck. This is the cheapest thing you're gonna get with the base model. Being, I think it's a 64 gigabyte, but you can slap an SSD in there. You can slap a micro SD card in there.
Hmm.
For I mean, like the base unit's 400 USD. You can get a refurbished one for 320 USD. That's getting to Switch price range, which is kind of crazy for what you get with the Steam Deck. So
100%. So yeah, it was July of 2021 was when they announced it, and then pre-orders went
okay,
live shortly after that. Um,
yeah.
I just remember, dude. I remember like sitting there and being like, I have to be ready. I have to get the pre-order in. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not, but like I went for the most expensive one, because I was like, I just want, like, I want everything in there ready for me, ready to go. And like I just
Hmm.
remember like refreshing, and then I got the pre-order in, and I was like, heck yeah, all right,
Yeah.
let's go. And then it was the next few months of like, do I keep this thing? What am I gonna do? Like, I
Yeah.
know it's expensive. Should I be doing this? Whatever, I'm doing it. And then like just the countdown of being like, what wave am I going to be in? And like, the joy that came through when that email hit, and it was just like,
Hmm.
index on its way. I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah, yes, it is. So you were a part of the first few waves. I actually
Mhm.
decided to join a little later. I
Nice.
got my Steam Deck in December of last year.
Okay, true.
Um, yeah, and it was pretty easy to get one and order one by that time. It was like, okay, you could just pick it up and go. I think, yeah, tinkering with it's really nice. Even though it's stuck on the Steam OS, there's a lot of versatility with it. A lot of back end, or like third party developers that just want to make sure you have the best experience on the Steam Deck. There's a lot of extra things you can put in there, such as emulation. EmuDeck is a huge win, especially because it's so easy to install all the emulators on there.
Mhm.
Um, all the games I've really played on Steam Deck just work, which is kind of crazy. There's the occasional game where I'm like, okay, I got to switch the Proton layer, or it's
Yeah.
like a brand new game. And it's like, okay, it's gonna, give it a week or a few weeks, and then it's just works. Even Last of Us Part One right now, it's like like it'll chug, it'll be blasting air like crazy, but you will have a at least a steady 30 frames for mostly part of your game, so it can run it
Mhm.
at least. But same with you. Like, I like bringing this thing everywhere in the apartment. I don't have to be stuck in this chair. I can, like, in the morning, like, wake up and just, like, be on the couch,
Mhm.
play for like 30 minutes. What I really like also about the Steam Deck is that I can just, in the middle of a game session, just click that power button, and it's like the Switch. It's like sleep mode. It actually turns off, for me, it turns off the network. Does it turn off network for you? Does it do that for every Steam Deck? Because that's what mine does.
I think it does. I've never really
Yeah.
checked, to be honest, but, like, I think 'cause sometimes every time when I boot it back up, sometimes I see, like, the Wi-Fi trying to find itself again, so I'm assuming it does.
Yeah, because sometimes when I turn it back on, it doesn't connect to my Wi-Fi, and I have to,
Mm.
like, it kinda jitters a little bit. I think they do that because they want to pause the gameplay timer of your
Oh,
Steam.
true.
Yeah, they just wanna make sure. It's like, "Hey, if you're gonna be gone for a long time, we wanna make sure that we're not recording 9 hours of your PlayStation that you didn't actually play." But, yeah, I've played a lot of games since December on my Steam Deck, like AAA games all the way to, like, games from a few years ago, and also Steam Library. I think that's a big thing too, is like, hey, you get this Steam Deck and you already have a library. You
Mhm.
don't need to buy more. You buy, a game right then and there to play on it. You just go. I think that's a huge convenience for me as well.
Yeah, I think one
Um,
of, like, my favorite parts was, like, before I was commuting to and from work and I was on the train for, over an hour every day, and, like, one of my favorite parts, like, gaming experience of this year was playing Resident Evil 4 Remake on my Steam Deck, and the fact that
mhm,
that game worked as well as it did portably still just blows my mind. Like, the capability of this thing is wild, let alone all of the
mhm.
obviously all on top of all the emulation and, like, I've speaking to like Steam OS, like you mentioned, like I have heard that Windows is in a much better place than it was before. So you can dual
That's
boot.
true.
You can do so much on this thing. And I think that's one of my favorite things about it is just how much you can do. You want to
Mhm.
play remote play on your PlayStation, you can do that. You want to play Game Pass, you can do that. You want to emulate games from 20 years ago, you can do that. Like there are hardly any roadblocks in front of you. Sometimes, yeah, like you mentioned, you have to, figure things out a little bit. You might have to tweak the settings here and there, but like again, I played Midnight Suns on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
I played RE4 on deck, which was just wild, like a bunch of indies, like that. It just works most of the time, and it's
Mhm.
incredible.
It's a good indie machine. I question for you. Which model did you get for Steam Deck?
The highest one, highest
The
tier.
highest one, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, me too. Got the antique glare screen, the
hmm
500 gig
yep.
SSD. Do you have a micro SD card in there?
I don't at this point because
Okay.
I don't find myself playing a lot like simultaneously. So for me, like I'm the same way on my PS5 and stuff. Like I don't really
Mhm.
have an issue with having a smaller memory cap because I'm usually like I'll play something, delete it, move on, play something, delete it, move on, play something, delete it, move on. So like I'm not usually keeping a lot at once on my deck. Like I usually have the 3 or 4 games that I might touch on. But what about you?
Mhm.
Do you have a micro SD in there?
Yeah, I have a 1 terabyte
Nice.
micro
Oh
SD
wow.
card.
Hell
I
yeah.
liked for my handhelds, I do like to have everything that I want kind of all at once, even if I'm not playing them at the times. Like, if I'm in the mood for a game, it's like, at least it's there for me that I
Mhm.
can just go to it. My Xbox is kind of like that too. But actually for my PC and PS5, I actually slimmed it down to like very minimal. It's like, okay, just install the game that you're gonna play on this thing, because it's it'll always be connected to the network, so it really doesn't matter. I can just like download a game later. But yeah, but definitely for my Steam Deck, I got everything in there. It's pretty filled. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I think the largest cap I have is Witcher 3 is on there, and it runs insanely well. So it's, yeah, as you said, it just runs a lot of games pretty great. Another question for you: do you have some extra things? Do you have cryo utilities on there,
I
perchance?
don't as of yet. I keep hearing that I need to get it, but I haven't gotten on there yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I can help you with that if you want. I can just send you a
Nice.
link. So what Cryo Utilities is actually just a random Linux developer wanted to just like improve Steam Deck performance somehow. And so he developed this kind of way, and I don't want to explain this. And
Mhm.
I would just go to the YouTube videos. He explains it so well. I remember listening to videos like that is kind of cool. I think it's something to do with RAM allocation.
From what I remember hearing,
Mhm.
it's like you can almost like change how much of the performance is going in which direction. Like you can mess with it. So it's like if it's a CPU heavy game or a GPU heavy
Yeah.
game, it like you can kind of reallocate resources depending on where you want to put them. Because like I have heard a lot about it, but for me, I'm just kind of like that sounds complicated.
Yeah, yeah. And actually it's pretty straightforward. I just
Nice. Okay.
installed Cryo Utilities application, went through the standard kind of algorithm that they implemented. So yeah, I got Cryo Utilities. Do you have the what's that side loading? Hold on. I'm pulling out my Steam Deck as well.
Yeah, I'm grabbing mine too.
There's this extra part that you can put in your Steam Deck that actually shows off things to the right as well. Decky, do you have Decky as well on there perchance?
I don't have Decky just because I'm using just like the all I'm really usually using is just I
Mhm.
want to see what the frame count's at. So I'm usually just using like that minimal the one that's like Steam already has in there just to have up on
Mhm.
the top left screen displaying the stream count, the frame count.
Yeah,
Um
yeah. Cool. So I have Decky, and what that does, it's like it gives you kind of extra UI applications on top
okay.
of what Steam provides you, and it has its own store. And so
Oh
there's just
nice.
a bunch of developers that just want to like, hey, do you want to put in Bluetooth? I have well, in your settings you can go to Bluetooth, but you don't really have a direct button to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah.
your Bluetooth. So I don't know if you can see it. The second button right there is Bluetooth. So I just go straight there and I can connect
Nice.
my headphones. It has Vibrant Deck. And I think that one is probably a must have. Vibrant Deck is actually messes with the color saturation of
Oh
each of your
really? Okay.
games. Yeah, so it can enhance the color a little bit. I wouldn't say, it's going to be a beautiful screen or anything like that, but at least, give your game if you think it's a little too flat on the colors, you can enhance it a little bit. But yeah, there's so many different things you could put. Oh, screen the Steam Grid DB. So what that does is like it kind of shows each game. I don't know if you can see it. Sorry, it's a little bright, but
You're good.
it kind of shows like, hey, this is a platinum gold. It's like the Steam verification process,
Yes.
only
Yeah.
much more accurate.
Does
Yeah.
that one also have like the how long to beat integration? Because that one is the one
Yes,
that
it
I was
does.
that's sick. Yeah, okay. That's because I was thinking about installing whatever gave me that. So if it's Decky, I have to get that on because the how long to beat, there's far too many times in a day where I'm going like, okay, how long does it take me to beat this? Okay, how long does it take me
Mhm.
to beat this? And I love that integration.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's that portion
Nice.
right there. You got main story for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, 25 hours.
Nice.
So yeah, it shows all of that, and it actually updates pretty frequently. I had a game I was reviewing, Atelier Murray remake. I was playing it, and then like probably after a week or so, it's like boom, this is the polls right now
Nice.
for how long to beat. So, and then there's fantastic. It controls fans, and then actually how Yarden actually put the animation changer. There it is. It's in Decky. So, and then EMU achievements, so that can give you achievements on emulated games.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
sick.
yes. So, bunch of different things
I just
there.
remember seeing in the first couple months when people like started to figure out how you can change your intro boot. Somebody put the entirety of Shrek 2 as their boot
Oh my
menu,
gosh.
so they had literally had to wait for like an hour and a half or an hour 45 to get into their thing. They're like, I'm never doing this again.
Oh my gosh. Question: do you have a skin for your Steam Deck?
No, I don't. I just
Okay.
mine is just nice and pure. Do you have one for yours?
No, I don't. I just want to keep it pure as well. It's comfortable for what it is.
I agree.
Yeah,
And
I don't need much.
what I do want to shout out is it was actually in like I think the first 2 weeks that I got my Steam Deck, and
Mhm,
I got mine like back in March of last year. I had
mhm.
it on the bed, and I left to go stand up to grab something, and my dog accidentally like knocked it off the bed, and essentially what happened
Um,
is that like it smacked the like the bedside table as it went down, and actually cracked like the
oh,
yeah like the here I'll pull it up right here
it's like a
like it
little
literally
handle?
it cracked here, and
Oh,
the
at
thing
the
got
joystick.
stuck. So and then, like, it actually cracked the frame as well, and I opened it up and I tried to fix it myself and I was able to get it back, but like the left stick really didn't feel the same. So after like 2 days, I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Steam directly. I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I just got this thing. And like, I don't know if you guys can do anything for me. I understand it was my own fault. I shouldn't have left it there. They sent me a replacement unit. I sent my original back. They sent me a
Wow.
completely new replacement unit. So like I have to shout out like their customer service because again, it was my fault. I shouldn't have left it where I left it. And believe me, I've been much more careful since. But like it was one of those things where I was like literally for 2 days, I was like, I just spent $1,000 on this thing and I already broke it. But they were wonderful. They sent over a new one and I sent the old one back. Like it was just a huge thing for them. Um,
Nice.
do you have an external battery that you use?
Yeah, Star Athena asked in the chat, do you use an external battery? I do not normally.
Mhm.
Only when I travel, and then even at that, I don't have like those fast charging external batteries. I actually have a battery that I had for ever since I had the Switch in 2018, 2017. So yeah, it's there. I can use it, but I also can play my other handheld systems when I travel. I don't bring it on my commute to work just because if I ever go to the office, I just drive there and it's only like
Nice.
15 minutes and like I don't have time to play when I'm in the office, so it doesn't really matter too much. But what about you? Do you have an external battery?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look up which one I bought, but I have it right here. Because I actually got one that was like Steam Deck rated. Um,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a 20,000 milliamp battery, but it can charge up to 65 watts. So like there's like a bunch of stuff here. So like I do directly like USB-C to USB-C, and this thing
That's
will
good.
charge the Steam Deck. Like I will literally get like hours upon hours extra out of it. That will literally like when I start to get low, I plug it in and it'll charge the thing while it's still running. Like and it'll continue to run for
Wow.
multiple hours while it's charging and then once it like the battery taps out, then I have a full battery on top of all the battery that I just gained. So like this thing, it has like a little button on the side shows your like kind of battery rate and how much you have left. Because I bought one that was that I was using for my Switch originally, but it was slow charging, and like the Steam
Yeah.
Deck will eat that thing alive. Like it, like,
Yeah.
and for me, like I like for work, I was traveling quite a bit, and again, my commute back and forth, I was like, I need something that will extend my battery life when I'm on the road. So I bought that one, and I think it was like 60 or 70 bucks US because I got it actually while I was in the States.
Mhm.
And fantastic, like super super glad I got it. Charges super well, use it for my phones and stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, similarly, when I'm at home, I'll just plug the thing in with the fast charger that came with the Steam Deck because that thing is again a monster. Like that thing
Mhm.
charges so quickly and so
Yeah.
well. But this
Big
battery
fan.
was a game changer for me.
Nice, cool, man. If I traveled more, I would definitely invest something like that, like a external battery, because it does. Yeah, like my slow charging battery, it's like it doesn't even charge like
Yeah,
enough. It'll just say, hey, now you got like 8 hours instead of 5 hours left, and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, let's see how this goes. But yeah, cool. Do you have a stand for your Steam Deck?
I don't. No, I like
Okay,
for me, I kind of just use it, and then like I bought a little like a little dongle to help like to help me connect it to the TV. And then
okay.
I'll just lay it flat because it has like the USB pass through, so I can charge and plug it into the TV, and it'll just continue to work. All pretty much like a console. I just never bothered with a stand.
Okay, cool. I actually recently got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, from JSAW or JSAUX. I don't know how do you pronounce that, but they do a lot of accessories with the Steam Deck, even like backplates, like clear backplates. It
Ooh.
looks so cool. They do such a great job. But yeah, they have a stand that's just like the Steam Deck stand, but for like $30 less. And it's the same exact thing. And what I really like about it is that even I think it's very easy to set it in there and just get it off. It's like much nicer than like sliding it into like a switch sliding into its own
Mhm.
dock. This stand is just like it kind of just nestles in there. It's just like you put it in.
Nice.
It's like a major kickstand. What I really like about it too is the I/O in the back. It has Ethernet if you really want fast internet streaming or something like that. HDMI, of course. And then I got two USB. So I definitely, if I want to plug in a keyboard or mouse, it's like right then and
Right there.
there. And then also I have my wired controller. I just like plug in my Xbox. controller, and it's just there to go. And I use it to charge it, and I just leave it there when I'm not, using it. It's just nice and pretty. And it actually is a smaller footprint on my desk too. It's
Nice.
just the wires in the back, so I can like just organize it however I want. So yeah,
When you
that's
put it on, do you still have to plug it in?
no. I can well, I don't know if I could show you it specific. Actually, I'm gonna take you on a tour over here.
Ooh.
Let's see if well, I don't know if I could show you, but yeah, basically you see that right there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not charging it at all. It's just
Okay,
nestled.
nice.
It's just like kind of setting back in there.
Nice.
So yeah. So it's actually pretty nice. I'm not even charging it. I can charge it if I want. It has this wire kind of out in the top,
Okay.
and you could just like plug it in right then and there because it's connected to the your Steam Deck charger
True. Okay,
itself
nice.
and the IO. So it's actually very nice. It's probably one of the better accessory purchases. I was like, okay, this is kind of like really cool. And it's like it's connected to one of my monitors. So if I really want to, really get into a console game with an Xbox controller, I'm just like I'm ready to go right then and there.
Yeah,
So
similarly. I just have like a little dongle that I have that has like the HDMI, HDMI, and a couple of USB ports, and again just the USB-C. So when I plug it up to the TV, I literally just plug that in there and just lie it flat, like in front of the TV on the stand. So like,
yeah, yeah. I was thinking of that, but it's like this was like $40 and I'm like, I just go for it and
yeah,
just
the one I got was like $30. So that's why
yeah,
it's just like a little thing that I just plug in and keep it
yeah.
going.
Cool, man. Cool. I have a lot of questions for you, but one thing I think is I really want to ask is do you put in any other launchers on
I
your Steam
haven't.
OS?
I haven't. Just
Mm.
because for me, like I'll play the game or I'll just hop in through like an emulator. The other launchers, I've seen some of the other ones and they look awesome. Um, but I just haven't really felt the need to do it personally. Have you switched
Mhm.
launchers?
So I haven't switched launchers. What I've done is I've added, well, if when you go to PC mode, you can install the Heroic game launcher,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
which adds in GOG and Epic
Mhm.
game launchers, and then you can connect that to your Steam OS, and basically you can add them individually. So, like if you have a game installed, let's say from the Epic Store through Heroic Game Launcher, you can put that on the Steam Deck, Steam OS as
Mhm.
well. So I just go back to my Steam OS and like I have like Vampire on
Nice.
my on there from Epic Game Store, and like if I click on that icon, it goes straight there and it runs perfectly fine. The only difference is that you're not playing on the Steam, profile. You're not, getting achievements or something like that. So if you're really bugged about that, that's one thing. I also have everything else. I got Ubisoft on there.
Nice.
I got EA on there, which I don't use as much, but Ubisoft, it plays pretty well. I do have Blizzard only because of the Diablo 4 beta
True. Okay.
was pretty good. I ended up not getting Diablo 4 just yet. I'll probably get it later. But it plays so nicely when and so those launchers were actually like I installed it on desktop mode, and then
Mhm.
you can locate those files
Yep.
and route it back to your Steam launcher.
Yeah,
That's how
I
I did
did
that.
I did download Heroic because I did use
Mhm.
Epic to play Inscription on my Steam Deck.
Cool. Cool.
So
Nice.
I do
Nice.
have that one. Yeah, for me, like I'm not too invested in a lot of the other ecosystems just because like I'll usually
Yeah.
play it on if any of those games like Diablo stuff, I usually just play it on my PS5.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I was this close to buying Diablo again when I was playing it.
I was so surprised how well it played on the Steam Deck itself. I had to switch a little bit of layer, like proton layers or whatever, but yeah, I got pretty much anything and everything that I is like if I want to get something on my Steam Deck, I could probably do it, which is
Mhm.
nice. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Steam Deck. Do you have any other thoughts, closing thoughts with the Steam Deck itself?
I'm just like, I went into this like again with the thing of it's like, okay, I can review more PC games, I can play more stuff here, I can be have the portability with me on the go. But I don't think I expected it. Like I would probably say I played more on my Steam Deck in the last year than I have on my Switch, which is something
Yeah,
that I didn't expect. I expected this thing to be like a companion piece to everything else more than anything else. And it's probably like I play this probably just as much, not just as much, but close to as my PlayStation. I cannot believe how much this thing has grown on me, how much
that's
I love
crazy.
how much I love everything that I can do on this thing. And again, now for me, it's just like, okay, do I buy that game on PS5 or do I buy it on Steam Deck so I have it with me on the go?
Mhm,
Because again, just how well these things works. I'm so surprised with how much I've fallen in love with this thing.
mhm, mhm. One thing I wanna ask, Game Pass streaming, do you do Game Pass streaming on this
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Nice,
Works
nice.
great.
It works fantastic. I do xCloud streaming every now and then with certain games just to try them out. I played Chained Echoes for a long time on
Mhm.
my Steam Deck like that, so it's pretty nice once you get all that set up for
I
sure.
think the one thing for me that I need to reinstall properly is remote play, because
Mm,
mine is very, very spotty. Like I
mhm.
can't stream from the PS5 super well.
Me
I
neither.
again, like it's not like you're not entirely supposed to. Like it's a bit of a,
Yeah.
like with Chiaki, like it's there. But I think I have to reinstall it because like I get this like almost like film grain effect on it with like that, and it just doesn't work very well. So that's one thing that I will say. Game Pass I've had like no issues with. I was playing Hi-Fi Rush and it worked fantastic, streaming over
Nice.
onto it. But I will say that PS5 remote play haven't been the most impressed, but I've heard other people had fantastic experiences, so maybe I need to just get a fresh reinstall and reset things back up on that end. But I will say on that front, a little bit disappointed there.
Yeah, I tried to do PS5 streaming a long time ago, like, I don't know, say, like, March or February or something like that, and it was not yeah, it wasn't an optimal experience. I think one thing I heard is that you kinda need your PS5 Ethernet hooked,
I
like,
just
Ethernet.
signed up, so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I heard that's like the best configuration when you wanna, stream remote play on Steam Deck because I've seen videos.
Mhm.
I was like and I'm like, "Mine does not play like that at all." Chiaki is a little janky, it kinda, like, deals with, like, these frequencies, and there's, like,
Mhm.
different
Yep.
settings with it, and I'm like, "Nah, this is a little weird."
Yeah.
But cool, man, cool. Yarden asked in the chat, how has it changed your buying habits? I definitely, every time a new game pops up, it's like, is it going to be on Steam? Is it going to
Mhm.
run well on Steam Deck? Other than big AAA games that I would play otherwise on the monitor or television, if it's a low key indie or a JRPG or something like that, it's definitely first things first is the Steam Deck. I think, yeah, it has the Switch portability, but it has achievements too. I think that's
Mhm.
the big thing for me too. Switch doesn't have any achievements. It kind of feels, I know that sounds weird, but it is this other kind of meta game that I want to have that kind of marks my progress
Mhm.
throughout a game. That's pretty much why I like that type of stuff. So,
Yeah, I think for me, like before this, it was always like a foregone conclusion. Yeah, buying it on PS5, and or if it's on Game Pass. But like even like I said, like I've been like I played the Trail series mostly on on the Vita and stuff, and it's like I
mhm.
had Cold Steel 3 on the PS5, and like I barely touched it. I ended up playing it on the Switch, and I'm now
Wow.
playing Reverie on the Steam Deck just because again having that portability. It's like some franchises and stuff. I'm like I like having it here
Mhm.
with me on the go. But even then, like Resident Evil played on the Steam Deck, Ghostwire Tokyo played on the Steam Deck. So like even
That's
some
so
of
cool.
some of the bigger titles for me is now like, do I want this with me on the go or am I going to play this at home, like on the TV? So it's just again not a conversation I ever thought I'd be having with myself. It was always like, obviously I'm playing it on PlayStation, and now this thing has really like thrown a wrench in that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I like, I can play games that are just podcast games or show
Mhm.
games on the Steam Deck. Like I can just, you know, have another thing to be busy with. Slay the Spire was a big one for me. It's like,
Nice.
okay, I'm just watching a show. Let me just pull up a game of Slay the Spire and just let me just chug along through it.
Mhm.
It's really cool like that. But let's bring in some people into the PC. I don't know what we're gonna call this, a PC drive, a cave, or whatever. They're hopping in here. Darth Stradius asks, "Will the podcast be short, just like the battery life of the Steam Deck?" I don't know if you heard that, but
I did
that's a
hear that
good
actually.
joke. But you know what? I have to ask you, have you had any limitations when it comes to the battery life? I know we talked about external battery, but do you
Uh,
complain about the
uh,
battery life at all?
You know what? I think the most I've complained about it is recently playing Baldur's Gate because that thing will destroy the
Mm,
battery in like I
I
would say
bet.
an hour and a half to 2 hours. But like up until this point, like Resident Evil, I could play for a solid 3 to 4 hours without destroying the battery. A lot of the indies will go for a while. And like again, with how fast it charges, either from my external or from the dedicated charger, uh, it's not something that like bothers me anymore.
Mhm,
Again, just with Baldur's Gate, because again, the game is demanding, and this thing sounds like a jet engine when I'm playing it.
mhm.
Like it bugged me a bit, and then I found ways to circumvent it between the external and stuff. So it's not really an issue for me anymore.
Yeah, and I also, just piggyback with that, I always think of, there's a balance to each of the games.
Hmm.
What I really like about it is how accessible to limit your kind of the amount of power, TDP, that you want to put into the game. And then also the frame rate can be
Yep.
different as well. I love how I can reduce my frame rate to 40 frames if I want to. And then like that will extend my battery life or it'll quiet down my Steam Deck. I actually, for Octopath Traveler 2, I was putting it at 60 for the longest time. And then I just realized it's not that it's bad. It's just sometimes it's a blip. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, it's down. You could kind of tell it happens and it goes down to 53. And then I also saw the battery life. Oh, it's only an hour and a half if I do it like that. But then I reduced the TDP, I reduced my frame rates to 50 frames and extended my battery life doubled or
Hmm.
to 4.5 hours. Now it's super quiet. I can't even really tell the difference
Hmm.
between 50 and 60 frames. It's still buttery smooth. So yeah, I definitely, the battery life doesn't, I don't complain about it too much either. It's just now when I get into a game, okay, do I want this to be as good as it can, or can I make some concessions and just have it quiet down and extend the battery life? So I
Hmm.
like it. I like it a lot. The Muffinmon is an interesting question, is that as someone with the ROG Ally and loving it, I've had a fantastic experience. What do you think the pros and cons of the Steam Deck are versus the Ally and possibly the new Lenovo Switch style handheld? Do you wish you had waited? So I'll go first with the Steam Deck versus the Ally and the pros and cons. I think everyone kind of knows what it is. Steam Deck, it's with the Steam OS, so you're gonna stick with Steam games, and then like it's gonna be a lot of tinkering with it. But other than that, it works with the library. I think it's a pretty good with each of the games that we've been mentioning. But I think the one con of it, or a couple of cons of it compared to Ally, I think the Ally is stronger. Graphically,
Yep.
it is a higher graphics fidelity in terms of specs, and in terms of it can go higher wattage and higher power. It has that 120 hertz screen as well, so that makes it much buttery smooth compared to the 60 frames. And then also I think it's a 1080p screen. Yeah,
I think
as
it
well.
is better. I think for me, like I don't regret hopping in
Mhm.
on the Steam Deck right away. And even given the same choice now, if I had the availability of all of it, I think I would still make the same decision because, like you mentioned, the ROG Ally is the stronger one. But from everything that I've heard, it's also the worst battery. So
Yeah,
for
it's the same. It's actually the same battery as the Steam Deck, like in terms of wattage, but it's
It's a bigger drain because again,
it's a
it's more
bigger drain. Yeah,
powerful. It's more powerful. So
exactly.
like so obviously it will eat the battery faster. And for me, I'm not looking at the Steam Deck or even the ROG Ally. Like, I'm not looking to play everything on ultra high settings at 60 frames per second. I'm totally okay having concessions to be able to play a game for a longer period of time at a lower frame rate or looking slightly worse. I don't think you can go wrong with either one, honestly. I think it really comes
Mhm.
down to, do you want SteamOS? Do you want Windows? How do you want to kind of, be able to configure that? I think for me though, the longer battery life that you can get with the Steam Deck from everything that I've seen. Love to be proven wrong. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of why I'm happy that I landed and stayed with the Steam Deck. In terms of like the Lenovo Switch style thing, I don't need another Switch. I have a
Oh
Switch. I don't need
my
these controllers to
goodness.
come off. I don't. I rarely take my controllers off my Switch anyway. I don't need Lenovo's to pop theirs off personally. I think for
That's
me, the
weird.
biggest thing that I would want to see from whatever comes next is just better battery. I think that's my biggest ask.
Mhm.
Like, can it play games at decent settings, and will the battery last? I think that would be what I would want out of like a Steam Deck 2 or whatever comes next,
Mhm.
kind of next in line.
Mhm. I think they've alluded to that the next iteration of the Steam Deck won't be for a while, which is good.
Yeah.
I think it's great as it is, and it's kind of hard to see if it's a marginal increase with the Ally. But I think Star at the end of the chat has a good point, is the price point as well. The Ally, it's a little bit more expensive than the
Yeah.
highest model of the Steam Deck.
Hmm.
It's like 700 USD or something like that. So it's like pretty high. Still pretty competitive though compared to the other PC handhelds. Have you seen the other PC handhelds, the Iron Neo, the Odin, the stuff like that?
Heard about them, but I haven't really looked into them at all.
Yeah. So they're, they've been in the game for a long time.
Hmm.
Actually before Valve. But their prices are like up into the 1200s to the 1500s, like a laptop
Oh wow.
price point. Yeah. And they would be kind of on par spec wise or a little bit more than an Ally or Steam Deck. So they're very premium, very niche product. Sometimes they run Android, sometimes they run Windows. I think one ran Linux, but yeah, there's these smaller PC handhelds. They've been around and they've been on Indiegogo and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm so glad I kept with the Steam Deck. I didn't want. I know a lot of people switched over to the Ally, which I totally understand. I think
Hmm.
the one thing I do miss is native Game Pass. PC
Yeah.
Game Pass
Yeah.
is probably the biggest thing for me if I was motivated to go to Windows or to a Windows based handheld. Um, the next time around, I think about a new handheld. That's a big thing for me. But yeah, I am totally fine with my Steam Deck. I have it made. I've got, as you can tell, I got everything set up. I got Deck. I got all my launchers. I got all the
Hmm.
games I can ever want installed on there and ever want to try. So yeah, I think I'm good too, dude. With the Steam Deck and the yeah, the Lenovo. I don't know what's going on over there. Why do you need why do you need to make a switch like
I
that?
don't know.
Like
I don't know.
I think that's completely unnecessary. Like no one wants that. The only people that want that, well, I don't think even Nintendo fans really wanted it. It's just Nintendo really wanted the motion controls, more accessibility. It could be multiple controllers and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense from that standpoint. But other than that, I don't know.
Well,
It's
that
just
and like they
kind of
do a
weird.
lot of couch co-op still. You know what I mean? I don't really think of a
Yeah.
PC when I think of couch co-op, right? Like it's like, of course you can do. There's plenty of games you can play locally on your PC with multiplayer, but like for me, it's like the Switch. I can understand it for a PC,
Hmm.
especially when like you can connect every controller under the sun to this thing. Why do I need to detach the ones that are already there? But again, to each their
Yeah.
own.
I wonder how the future, like these other competitors like Lenovo is gonna do now in the handheld space. Now that I think Steam Deck dominated Ally. I've heard the sales are just okay. They're not like the optimal or like really huge success. It's just like okay, this is
Mhm.
this is fine. This is good sales. So yeah. Next one, Donnie, eat the hype. Ask how lame are the trackpads on any handheld?
I never use them. Like I don't see the point in them. Like I've literally like accidentally used them. Like I've accidentally touched them a few times playing Baldur's Gate. I'm like, wait, what did I just do? I wish they weren't here. I don't see the point in these things.
Okay, I get that. I understand. I don't normally use the trackpads. I think people who do use them really like them.
I know.
And they're really into it. And I'm just like, I don't. And I think it's a game to game specific thing too, because one game will have it as okay, you can use it as a mouse, keyboard, or whatever. Another game will have it to like, oh, this can be radial menus. I think that's the biggest, nicest thing for me is that I actually set up some emulated games or emulators to have radial menus, so I
Oh,
can
nice.
like
Clever.
easily like save, do a save state or fast forward or pause or something like that. So I think that's just yeah. Other than that, I agree with you. The trackpads are kind of it has a lot of real estate
I
on
only
the
ever
thing.
use them on, like, the PC like, the PC mode.
Mhm.
If I'm, like, again, like, updating or if I'm trying to mess with settings or I'm doing something, that's the only time I ever touch them personally. But
Yeah.
I can see the use case for them, and, like, again, the people that love them really love them.
Yeah, it kinda pushed the sticks and the buttons to the side, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I'm just like, man, if you made I honestly, if you remove the trackpads, this would be a lot prettier, to be
Yep,
honest with you. You can
and the
set the sticks offset or like kind of more below, and I don't know, ergonomically you can change
mhm.
some things on it, but I think it would be pretty nice without them.
Agreed.
All right. So Yarden asked, "Do you like my startup animation?" You saw that.
Yes, that was incredible. Loved it, Yarden. 100% 5 stars. Nicely done.
Now, did he make that on his own, or was that copied off of a video that we have?
It must have been
I,
copied because the startup animation for some of them does have that. So I'm guessing
oh,
he
okay,
grabbed it off of one
okay.
of the YouTube videos.
Oh, nice. Well, thank
Good
you,
to know.
Yarden, for
Nice
that
to know.
startup animation. He shared it on the PC gaming
Nice.
channel in the Discord. So go download it. I downloaded it myself, so I'm definitely gonna put it on my startup animation for my Steam Deck. It is
Mhm.
so if people don't know, the animation when you start up the Steam Deck, you can customize the animation starting up, as you said, with Shrek. We have a little Carpool Gaming Bobby animation startup with a little bell and tinkle. It's very cute, very nice, representing very well with Carpool Gaming. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, Yarden. Ribo asks, we know Blandino has left Alfonso out in the cold, but is Matt playing the so far PC game of the year, Baldur's Gate 3?
Yep.
Well, yeah.
I can't stop playing it. It was like, okay, I wasn't interested in it, and then the more I heard about it the month leading up to launch, I was like, maybe I need to pick this up. I'll wait for it on PS5. And the more I kept reading about it, I was like, oh crap, I'm buying this thing on Steam Deck. And I have not been able to put it down. I had like it's the
Oh,
first game
dang.
in a long time that like, and I'm not huge into CRPGs. I love Disco Elysium, but like I've tried to get into Divinity a couple times and it just didn't click.
Hmm.
I haven't played any of the other Baldur's Gates, and for me, like I can't stop playing this game, and when I'm not playing it, I can't stop thinking about playing this game. Like
Wow.
it is that good. It is probably my game of the year so far, full stop across the board.
Wow.
Once obviously going to continue with it and see where it takes me, but just like the freedom of it, the abilities, like everything that you can do in it, like I kind of liken it to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom gives you a physics system that lets you basically
Hmm.
let you do anything. Baldur's Gate gives you a system set, like almost like a story systems thing, where it's like if you think about it, you can probably do it. If you can roll it right, if you
Mm.
can figure out how you want to do it, the game will probably let you do it. It has that level of like freedom of creativity to it that was just like, what if I tried this? That didn't work. Let me reload. What if I try this? Okay, that worked. It's so
Mm.
so good. Would Garrett like it? I think he would. I like Garrett and I think
Hmm.
are very similar in our love for RPGs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how big are you into CRPGs, but similarly for me, I like D&D. I've played it a bunch, but so I don't know it well enough that I can min max everything. I know what I'm doing. I know
Hmm.
exactly how each cantrip works, how each spell works. It's a lot of learning, and if you're willing to put the time to learn this game, it is so so good. Because that's one thing I
Nice.
will say is that it does not give you anything. It's like
Mm.
you got to learn it all as you go, but it's so good.
Uh, so you played a little bit of Divinity. Can I ask you what's your biggest difference or standpoint that motivates you to play Baldur's Gate 3 compared to Divinity? Original Sin 2 or
I tried to get into both. I've tried
okay,
original sin,
okay.
I've both original and original sin 2. I think for me, there's just something about Baldur's Gate. I think like the D&D-ness of it. There's something about the
Okay.
combat, there's something about the feel of it, there's something about the general setup for the story, and like even just like the pacing of it. Um, the world is constantly around you. There's constantly stuff going on. It's like, oh, I genuinely want to see what's around that corner. I think with Divinity both Original Sin 1 and 2, I found the beginning kind of starts you off, and it's like I found myself getting very overwhelmed, which I haven't
Mm,
felt that in Baldur's Gate 3, even though I said that, like, there's a lot of learning to do. I felt like I felt Baldur's Gate 3 eases you into it a little bit better than I think Divinity 1 and 2 did
I get.
personally for me.
Yeah, yeah. I've tried Divinity, Original Sin 2. I actually call up with a friend for like I would say a couple hours or something, and it's just
Mhm,
like it's so hard to like. I was like, what am I doing? But I also hear the first area sucks
mhm.
for Divinity Original Sin 2, and then after that it gets so much better. So maybe I want to give it another try.
You should.
Um, because I again, we all have so many games to go through. But Baldur's Gate 3 is it's coming at a time where I'm very busy with other things
Mhm.
outside of my control with gaming. So I am on halt right now with Baldur's Gate. I know Starfield's coming up, so it's just gonna Starfield's gonna eat me alive. So I really don't have time with Baldur's Gate 3 at all for right
That's
now.
okay.
But I am definitely interested
Mhm.
into the game. Yeah. So later.
Yeah.
Alfonso will make its return, Ribo, and hopefully be a nice little wood elf and not screw around with bears. But anyways, party up. Darstridius also asked, "Do you enjoy doing your turbo taxes on PC? That is what PCs are used for. Your turbo taxes are great on PC.
All the
Yeah,
time. Yep.
your
I use the
Excels.
trackpads. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
cool, nice. Oh, use the trackpads. I love it. I love it so much. Lee also asks, "Are you going to auction something belonging to Ryan Turford?" Okay, Matt. I don't know if you know this question or its context. I'll give you the too long didn't read kind of version of it. You know, Linus Tech Tips.
Yes.
You've heard of that? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Um, the whole debacle with Gamer
I
Nexus. So they've
I've heard about all that. Yes.
Okay, cool. They've been volleying back and forth, and then Gamer Nexus kind of called them out. It's like, hey, a lot of your videos are inaccurate. You did something with, I think it's Billet Labs. So that's a
Yep.
small company that built a water block specifically for the 3090
Yes.
GPU,
Yeah, and they tossed a
and
4090 on it.
yeah, they tossed a 4090 instead, and then still make a video about it, how crappy the water block is. And then later in the WAN show, Linus was like, "Oh, even though this is incompatible, it's still a sucky product. It's like this. You shouldn't buy it, even though it's incompatible and it didn't work. It doesn't matter about our testing. It's just a sucky product." So he kind of just did this false advertising stuff. So
Mhm.
Lee, are we auctioning off something belonging to Ryan Turford? Yes, we are auctioning off all of the Ryan's Sega Saturn games. I tried to put all of his games into my Xbox and it just didn't work. So you know what? It's incompatible, but I still think it sucks.
Yep.
So we're just gonna toss them away. We're gonna
I
actually,
tried to put all of
yeah.
James Cameron's Dark Angel season 1 on DVD into my VHS player, didn't work. Show sucks.
Oh, yeah, the show sucks. Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna sell each of the Sega Saturn games for like about $5 or something like
I think
that.
it's fair.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Even
around that
250.
price.
Yeah.
$2.50. But anyways, thank you for your question, Lee. That it has been some type of debacle. So Linus is now, so LTT is now like stop
On break.
production.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, until they get their stuff together. They got a new CEO, so hopefully he kind of just comes in and just like sets the record straight for them.
Mhm.
But you know what? I just enjoy their videos. I don't really go to their videos for the hardcore PC stuff that Gamer Nexus kind of critiqued off of them for. I kind of just go there for more entertainment. Like they have a bunch of wacky things that they do. So, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I
We'll
think
see how it goes.
I've seen them around. Like I've watched some of this stuff, but I think I go to MKBHD for most of the tech stuff.
Hmm. Todd of War asks, "What's your favorite thing about PC/Steam Deck gaming? Just
I
what's
just
your
like
favorite thing?"
yeah, I think it just again, I love the freedom of it. Like again, it's literally do you want to play an NES game? Do you want to play a Game Boy Advance game? Do you want to play a GameCube game? Do you want to play Baldur's Gate 3? Everything is at your fingertips when it comes to the
Yep.
Steam Deck. It's just like if playing around with it, trying to make it work, trying to make, okay, can this work? Can this work? Where do I find this? Where do I do this? I honestly think that like setting this thing up and tweaking it is half the fun. And then on the
Mhm,
other side of it is just like the freedom of it. There's so much here. And it's just like
mhm.
I love this thing.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I also like, a seamless transition of cloud saves. It's
Yes.
like
Yep.
you just upload, it's there. You can go straight to your laptop, it's there. I like the interconnectivity of both the Steam Deck and the PC Steam launcher. I'm able to remote install I think like my Steam Deck to my PC, like, hey, install this on my PC or whatever. So there's some interesting things that they're trying out. I do like that the Steam application has big picture mode, same exact
Mhm.
thing as Steam OS. It's like the same exact thing. It's like super cool, like that. But yeah, I agree with you. The accessibility and interconnectivity of it all. I want to go back to Rival. Sorry, I skipped his last question. What is the one thing you would change about the handheld PC experience?
I think honestly, the biggest thing I would change about the Steam Deck is just the ergonomics of it. I think it feels good,
Mm,
but especially after playing for an hour or two, like my hands sometimes start to go numb a little bit, or like it's one of those things where I gotta put it down for a sec, shake it out, and like pick it back up. I do think I as much as I love it, I do think it is a little big and heavy. So I think the
mhm,
only thing that I would change about it is just the ergonomics of it. I think working in something a little bit more on the back end or playing around with it a little bit more. I think ergonomically, I think the second one I think is going to be pretty different comparatively.
mhm, mhm.
Um, because like even like with the Switch, like I bought like an extra case that has like more padding on the back so you can kind of hold it a little bit nicer.
Okay.
And I do think the Steam Deck is good. I think it's better than the Switch, but I do think it is still a bit bulky and a bit heavy. But I think that's the biggest thing that I would change about the Steam Deck.
Mhm. I agree with you. The ergonomics of it is much better than the Switch. Um, and then I'm actually surprised how much I can play like first person shooters
Hmm.
on this thing because the sticks are pretty accurate. You know,
Hmm.
Excuse me. I don't like the face buttons being like off to the side. Like it's literally away. I think we'll go back to like get rid of the trackpads and like kind of customize that ergonomics a little bit more. I think you got yourself a pretty good ergonomic handheld for sure.
Hmm.
I think the one thing I would change about mine handheld PC experience is that e- even though I like tinkering with things, I wish developers did a better job of figuring out what's best for the Steam Deck. I feel like they just, oh, we went through the verified process, we're done,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And then a lot of the times, that's not the case. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to switch this specific anti-alias option to one of the things, and then I'm gonna have to change the grass quality to low or
Density.
to
Yeah.
me. Yeah, the grass density or something like there's not a Steam really optimized version for the most part
Hmm.
for a lot of these games. I just hope developers or like the outside community can really, kind of export their settings and like have a community of Steam is like, hey, this is like download this template of settings. This works best for my options for Steam Deck. If you want lower powered or high powered or something like that, I think that's the one thing would be cool.
I agree
For
because like you do have that a bit for the controller settings, but even then, I feel like that's very hit or miss. Some of them work, some of them
yeah,
really don't. But yeah,
yeah,
I'd agree.
cool. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have. I think just to wrap it up here, Matt, thank you for
Thank you,
joining me.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is our first time hanging out one on one. It was awesome. This was a great show, and who knows, maybe we'll make this a an annual thing.
an annual, semi-annual,
Yeah,
we'll just call it seasonal, quote unquote,
quote
type of
unquote.
deal.
Hmm.
I think like the next time, I definitely want to reach out to you when just something big pops up with the Steam Deck PC space. I know, or the PC handheld in general, because there's always something new and exciting coming out. So maybe like next year when the new Lenovo handheld gets released or something like that. We could chat about that as well. But I know a lot of people out there wanting this type of content or show coming out. So here you go, right on this live show or on Patreon on the feeds over there. thank you guys so much for your support and for watching. And we will talk to you later.
Peace.
Bye-bye.